Good afternoon. My name is Russell White, and this is my speech for our first project. And let's just get this started with the first question. Who is the speaker that you chose, and what is the thesis of the speech? The speaker that I chose is Tony Robbins. Why we do what we do. Um, the basics of this speech is uh, what is our inspiration? Like, what is our hidden drive that pushes us? Some people call it faith. He didn't say that in this speech, but that's my interpretation of it. Um, but basically, he talks about perception and the excuses that people make for it. Um, they say because of resources, it would be time, money, technology, contacts, experience, or management. Um, but he talks about different ways that people can understand it better because basically he talks about how in the moment there's two primary patterns, the invisible forces that shape us. It's either in the moment or long term. In the moment is our physical state or emotional state, as in right now, as in the present, and the long term would be our model of the world, our worldview, the shapes, the meaning, emotions, and action, and basically how we perceive things. It affects us and how we react to our emotions, and when we have these emotions, how we react to having these emotions. So that's basically the primary gist of it is the invisible force that we have that motivates us. The second question was, how did the speaker capture the attention of the audience in his or her introduction? He captures the audience by first speaking on his accolades and his credits before he speaks about people having these human emotions. One good way I think of starting off a speech when someone is unfamiliar with who you are is kind of tell them what you do. And he started off by saying that he's a motivational speaker and he has sold millions and millions around the world. He has traveled to different countries, given speeches on inspiration. And when you start off a speech like that, that it gives you this this assumption off of what he says, because if he's done this a lot to millions of people, there's a reason why people keep coming to his conferences, and because he has, if he tells you this, you're gonna think you're gonna hold a more value to what he says. So that is a great introduction, and plus he has these alpha male characteristics, which I'm going to bring up more in this presentation. But when someone has these alpha male characteristics, he kind of has a deeper voice. He has a very physical man. Um, and when you see someone like that, there's been studies. This is just side note, but there's been studies about the taller a person is, or the more masculine he looks, the more respect he gets. That's what I mean when I mean alpha male. But he has this, charismatic uh, thing to him that just makes him look important. So I think perception too. So when he tells you this in perception, that it really catches the attention of the audience. Um, so let's see. The third question is, how did the speaker maintain uh, engagement of the audience throughout the speech? Um, One of the things I noticed that Tony did is that he kind of gave an emotional connection to the audience. He would ask the audience to respond by saying, I think it was, "Do you feel me?" It was a word like that, where the audience had to say, "Okay." So that kind of interaction kind of gets them more involved and engaged in the video. And one thing I learned about humans in general, if you get them involved, their attention is there. If they feel like that they are the only person that you're speaking to in the audience, then they are more likely to engage and really soak in what you're trying to tell them. So I think the way he interacted with the crowd is just great public speaking characteristics. The fourth questions: which of the 10 TED commandments does the speaker best follow, how and why. The one I chose was Show Us the Real You. There was one section in his speech where he talked about when he was young, his father, for Thanksgiving, father wasn't able to pay for a meal for Thanksgiving, so they didn't have a meal. And his father just, I guess, just walked out of his life. Out of his life, his father wasn't there, and then a random family gave them a Thanksgiving meal, and that really shows like his struggle because he didn't have enough money to even afford a Thanksgiving meal. And then when he grew up, he started at age 17. He gave away two Thanksgiving meals to a family, and from then on, he increased it to 4 meals, to 7 meals, till he owned his own company, and he gave out like 500 meals a year, some crazy like that. And that shows you connection. That shows you that struggle that just people enjoy. So when Show Us the Real You, that was one of the 10 TED commandments that it showed, because you really saw his roots and how strongly that foundation was planted in his life. 5, compare and contrast your speaker to Sir Ken Robinson from the video you watch, School Kills Creativity. The video School Kills Creativity. The one thing I liked about that video, it's an interesting perspective, is that he speaks about how schools, if they focused on the arts and your body as much as they focus on math, then what would the outcome be? He talked about how like it's kind of killing your creativity when you're kind of focused on not really being creative. It's more technical. That's just a little introduction on that. I think comparing the two, he speaks on in School Kills Your Creativity on how if you focus on more of what you're good at, the better you become. And I think one of the ways that can complement Tony Robbins' speech is how he speaks on following your dreams and your motivations on why you're doing that. In the School Kills Your Creativity, he speaks about how I think it was a girl who was a dancer, and their doctors, their parents took her to the doctor, and he was like, "Oh, the problem is she needs to dance." She didn't have like a diagnosis, and because she was bouncing off the walls, and then she became a dancer, and then she went to a dance school, and then opened up a dancing school, that made millions of dollars. Now, if her parents told her that it was if the doctor told her that it was a diagnosis that she had, then she would just be sick off meds. She wouldn't have became a millionaire. And so one of the things that Tony Robbins speaks on is how if you follow your dreams and take action of these dreams, not just have them, plant that seed, but really let it grow, then you will be successful. And so that's one thing I think they kind of balance each other out. They're both really positive. The next question, 6, evaluate the speaker in terms of dynamism. I remember from the video the other day. Dynamism, from 1 being the lowest to 5 being the highest. What could the speaker have done to increase his or her dynamism? I chose 4, which is pretty high. I don't give out 5s. I feel like 5 is the peak. Like if you get a 5, even if it's flawless, it's beyond flawless. So I think the highest that I gave was a 3. I mean, not a 3, a 4. 4 because Tony Robbins had this alpha male characteristic. Because dynamism, if I remember from notes I took the other day, that it's having this energy. And I think I gave him a 4 because he had this kind of manly energy to him that was just very confident. He knew what he was talking about. He knew from experience. He gave out stories, many stories. And I don't know why, but when I hear someone tell stories about, just successful, like people being successful, it just motivates me more because those are human characteristics. If you put things into action, if you put your goals into action, you realize that it takes time to do them. You can reach them. So I gave him a 4 on dominantism because he had a lot of energy to him, a presence. 7. What have you learned about delivery based on watching your presenter? One thing I've learned about delivery is that he did a really good job of kind of interacting with the audience, uh, kind of giving them. You can tell that he had a lot of emotion in his speech, um, and there was even one point where he interacted with, I guess it was someone who was running for office or something, and um, you know they yelled out something in the crowd, and he threw it in right into his speech, and he did a really good job on making sure that like the crowd kind of laughed with him too when they had that humor. So I think that one of the ways that I learned from his delivery is kind of interact with the crowd a little bit and get them involved and um, really just taking control of the stage. And you could tell everything was well rehearsed. So on to the next question. What tips can you give your classmates on delivery for your upcoming speeches based on only on your TED Talk? I would have to go back to again is interacting. Well, I guess there's no audience on the internet that you can um, in real time interact with. But one of the things I would say is kind of have that confidence. Um, Confidence meaning that you rehearse your what you want to say. At least have them on notes, or because the more you know things through repetition, the more and better it sounds. Um, so even I've been saying and ah. I've tried not to say that. So actually, I haven't said it as much as I usually would, even though I'm still saying it. But I definitely be more conscious of what you're saying. If you can have them written down, then at least look over them before you speak. And I can tell that he was very well prepared, Tony Robbins. Um, so let's see. I think that's it. One last thing I would like to add is that one thing that I really picked up from this speech was it was the Tony Robbins speech is about microwaving success. The one thing about success is that it will not happen overnight. There will be many walls and barriers, but if you learn to break through these walls and barriers, then you can be successful. And not only just to have a thought, but to follow up with actions with these thoughts. So, but what I mean by microwaving success is this is just my interpretation, but I I relate success to, let's say, baking a cake. When you bake a cake, you don't just pour it into the pan and just throw it in the oven, right? You have to marinate it. You have to, uh, well, let's say cooking steak. Cooking steak, a steak you can marinate, um, or like ribs, or like beef, like barbecue. I'm from Virginia, so we have a lot of barbecue, real close to North Carolina. So if you're gonna make a barbecue, you have to cut it up. I think it's used like pig butt. You have to cut it up. You have to you have to marinate it for put all the sauces you do. So we make the real barbecue. We make the real barbecue in Virginia, and I live right by Virginia and North Carolina. So you have to marinate it. You have to put it in a pot. Um, what's them things called? A pot, crock pot. This is how we make it. There's other ways you can make it with a barbecue, but you can put it in a crock pot and you let it cook all day, right? It's two different flavors. So if we have that, and then we have one that we just throw into the microwave, then there's two different outcomes. You can rush success by throwing it in the microwave, and this is what you want to avoid because that's that quick. So the thing is, we want that instant gratification now, and that is a problem that I think a lot of people have until they realize, until they're conscious of having this problem, then it's hard to really be aware of it. But one thing I learned is about just not microwaving success. Um, If you marinate it and put in that oven and put in that crock pot, success will be the outcome. You have to wait time. See, a lot of people think, and I'm gonna end it on this note. A lot of people think that success will happen overnight, and the thing you have to realize is that success and being successful and achieving your goals, a lot of people think that they make unrealistic goals, but the problem is they make unrealistic time marks for those goals. So, one of my goals is to work at ILM Studios or Pixar Studios. But the thing is, I realize that I have to put in that work. I have to put in my 10,000 hours. I have to start from the bottom. Not necessarily, but I have to put some kind of work to get to that level of people who have been doing it for years. So it's not the fact that I'm making unrealistic goals. I have to make realistic time goals. I can't just think that I'm gonna get there in a year. I can't just think I'll get there in 2 years. And if I do, then it's because I've proven myself to be worthy of that. So that's the one of the things I want to end it on. And yeah,